Hello and welcome to the Pearson EdXL English Language 2.0 Exam Skills Series. The exam series takes a skills-based approach. In this video, we're going to explain what is meant by the skill of evaluating and explore what the examiner is looking for when answering an evaluation question. For the purpose of the exam videos, we're going to be using the Summer 2024 series exam papers. Let's start off by looking at your GCSE English Language exam, as evaluation is about more than just saying what happens in a text. It's about showing your opinion on how well the writer gets their ideas across and backing that up with evidence and explanation. We see this in Assessment Objective 4 when we're asked to evaluate text critically and support with appropriate textual reference. So where does evaluation appear? The skill appears only in paper 1, but it is seen across various questions. Question 2, question 5 and question 6. It's a core skill that you will use both in your exam and across many other contexts outside of a GCSE. Let's take a look at all the evaluation questions together. Questions 2 and questions 5 are very similar, but question 6 works a little differently. For questions 2 and 5, you need to make a judgment about the text. Give 3 clear ideas and for each one, explain your reasoning. And make sure you say whether you think the writer has been successful or not. That's really important. Question 6 also asks you to evaluate, but it's longer, more in-depth response. Here, you need to justify your views more fully by looking at ideas, opinions, themes, intentions, and different viewpoints. So remember, 2 and 5 are about clear, structured judgments. 6 is where you really dig into the text and explain why the writer's choices matter. Let's look at this question together. This is taken from paper 1, question 6. This question always asks you to respond to a statement or opinion about text 2. When you're asked to evaluate, the exam question will give you a short statement or opinion, such as, "In my view, this text shows how bad working conditions were in coal mines." You then have to say how far you agree with that statement. Do you agree fully? Do you partly agree? Or do you disagree? Most importantly, why? What evidence from the text can you find to support your evaluation? Pause the screen now to read the question. On the screen, you'll see that we've highlighted key parts of the question. These are going to guide your evaluation. Refer to whole of text 2 means you're being asked to show that you've thought about the entire text and not just one quote or one moment that stands out. To do this well, you may want to try and include examples from the beginning of the text, the middle, and the end. How far do you agree with the opinion? This part of the question is asking you to make a judgment. In other words, what's your view? Do you strongly agree with the opinion, partly agree, or disagree? Always explain why you agree or disagree using the evidence. You're asked to use examples from the text to support your evaluation. The final part of the question reminds you to support everything you say with the evidence. That means picking out short, specific quotations and explaining how those choices affect the reader. Remember, this is not an AO2, so you don't need to write about subject terminology or methods. To write a strong evaluation question, you need to understand exactly what the examiner is looking for, and it's more than just giving your opinion. Here's what that involves. Make a judgment about the text. The first thing the examiner wants to see is your opinion on that statement in the question. So saying clearly whether you agree, disagree, or partly agree, and show that you've thought through carefully about why. Next, support your opinion with using evidence. This means choosing short, relevant quotations, clear examples that help to prove your point. You don't need to write out whole sentences, but really focus on key words and phrases that directly link to your argument. Analysing the writer's ideas, opinions, themes, intentions, or viewpoints. You need to explain what the writer is trying to communicate to the reader. This includes thinking about their ideas, opinions, themes, intentions, or viewpoints. Look at the words they've chosen. Is there emotive language, imagery, or key ideas running through the text? Then consider the structure and tone of the text, how it begins, develops, and ends, and if the ideas or viewpoints change. To reach higher levels, you need to avoid identifying techniques and start evaluating how well the writer is putting across their ideas, opinions, themes, intentions, and viewpoints. Explain how these shape the reader's views and feelings. Finally, consider how the writer's choices reflect their ideas, opinions, themes, and intentions or viewpoints. What are they trying to communicate? How does this influence the reader's response? Do their choices make us feel shocked, sympathetic, angry, or maybe even impressed? This is your opportunity to demonstrate your understanding of the writer's purpose and how their choices support or challenge your critical judgment in relation to the question. The following response was written by a student in their actual exam. It's important to note that this is just part of a full response, but it gives us a clear insight into what a good evaluation answer looks like. This student achieved a level 4 response for their answer overall. Let's take a closer look at what they wrote. Pause this video to read. Notice how the student is making a clear, justified judgment on how well the writer achieves their purpose. First, they use short, relevant quotations to support their opinion, and they avoid copying long sentences by choosing single words and phrases that directly back up their point, keeping the answer focused and persuasive. They show how they understand the writer's intentions and ideas. They discuss word choice and the overall tone of the text, and explain how these choices help to create effects and convey ideas. They judge the impact of these ideas, opinions, themes, intentions, or viewpoints. They go beyond saying what's just been done to explain why it works, what it suggests, and how it shapes the reader's response. This is what the examiner wants in evaluation: a clear opinion, strong evidence, and reasoning that links to the writer's choices to their success. Here are a few top tips to bear in mind when tackling the evaluation question. If you're stuck, question the question. That means, what is the question really asking you to think about? Break it down. Are you being asked how effective something is, whether you agree with a statement, or how the writer makes you feel a certain way? By rephrasing the question into your own words, you'll start to form a clearer opinion to build your answer around it. Once you've formed your opinion, based on your reading of the text, you're ready to find the evidence to support it. That leads us on to our next point. Your evidence, of course, will determine your answer. Don't rush into writing straight away. Think about what your opinions are in relation to the question, and then look for short, sharp quotations that directly link to your opinion. Picking your evidence early and carefully will help keep your answer focused and will stop you from wandering off the point. Finally, if it helps, use an acronym or writing structure to guide you. For example, point, evidence, explain, link, PEAL. These can help keep your work organised. You make your point, back it up with a quotation, explain how and why it works, and link it back to the question. Following these steps will make your evaluation answers clear, structured, and persuasive, exactly what the examiner is looking for. So that's evaluation, a vital skill where you go beyond just explaining language to making informed judgments about how successful the writer is in achieving their purpose. Keep practicing this skill by asking yourself, how well does a writer's ideas, opinions, themes, or intentions and viewpoints persuade, engage, or affect you or any other reader? And what impact do they have and why? Thanks for watching this Pearson EdXL English Language 2.0 video, and we'll see you next time.